The National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial is a place of honor and remembrance for families of the fallen, fellow officers, and visitors here in Washington, D.C. Our role here at the Memorial Fund is holistic. It's heavy. It's important. We are serving our fallen. We are educating the public, and we are keeping our officers safe. Our mission is to ensure that the memorial remains a constant place of honor and a permanent memorial in our nation's capital. I have friends that are on that wall, folks that I worked with over the years, officers who gave their lives doing a job they loved. Ensuring that the memorial, museum, and our officer safety and wellness programs are here in perpetuity is much too great a task for one group. All officers can help ensure that the memorial and museum are here for future generations. Our experience has been that many law enforcement officers, active and retired around the nation, want to have a more active role in what's happening at the memorial and in the museum. So we created the Ambassador Program as an opportunity to have better and richer contacts with the law enforcement community around the nation. Ambassadors are a voice in their communities for the memorial and the museum and our officer safety and wellness program. Our law enforcement ambassadors play a vital role, and their support serves to bring awareness to the noble work being done at the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund. These current and prior municipal, city, county, state, federal, and military law enforcement officers represent the memorial at ceremonies, events, and funeral services nationally. They bring a much welcomed and uniquely localized perspective, which allows them to exchange an ever-changing flow of information related to officer safety and wellness trends. Our ambassadors play an important role in ensuring that best practices in officer safety and wellness reach our men and women on duty throughout the country, and sharing this valuable information through roll call trainings, presentations, and one-on-one interactions will help keep our officers safe and remind them to take care of themselves. And by having ambassadors in the field, it affords us the opportunity to be able to communicate with them in real time and also get information back from the field on emerging trends and concerns that they see, so we can address programming appropriately. We are recruiting active and retired law enforcement officers from around the nation to further the vision of our mission through education and philanthropy, and to help us carry out our mission here at the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund. Having these ambassadors is an invaluable tool during a time that law enforcement work has become increasingly more difficult, dangerous, and unpredictable. Simply put, these ambassadors are not only serving to respect, honor, and remember fallen officers, they are helping to keep the names off the memorial walls too. The first step to becoming an ambassador is filling out an application, which can be found on our website. It's a very stringent process because we are looking for only the best of the best. Our goal is to have an ambassador as a liaison in every law enforcement agency across the United States. Our ambassadors ensure that the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial and National Law Enforcement Museum continues to be supported to provide a place of honor and a permanent memorial in our nation's capital for future generations.
Thank you to our supporters across the country. While many couldn't be here in person tonight, they are lighting virtual candles in honor of the officers who made the ultimate sacrifice. Each candle on this map represents a donation to the Memorial Fund and marks the location from which it was given. New candles will appear throughout the evening as more supporters join us in remembrance. Join them by visiting nleomf.org/vigil. Thank you for standing with us.
Each year, thousands upon thousands of men and women honorably serve as law enforcement officers in this country. And every year, they suffer casualties in their effort to honor the oath they took to protect and to serve. They will always be missed and remembered by their loved ones and families, and it's incumbent upon us to remember their loss, to honor their effort, and to always remember how they sacrificed for us. May God bless them, and may they rest in peace.
My son was Kurt Holland. His end of watch was 10/16/2020.
Our son, Jacob, he was a deputy sheriff for the Gallatin County Sheriff's Office, was 32.
My only brother is memorialized here.
We're at 50E. He's right here.
To see his name among all the others, I think, is overwhelming and beautiful.
My daddy, his name is COOPERABYSON.
To see his name on the wall is very surreal. It's so beautiful. The peace and the outpouring of love. It is such a wonderful tribute.
They're not going to be forgotten.
It's law enforcement's holy ground. It is unbelievable what it does in the way of healing. Being near this memorial brought me comfort. Being around others who had lost their loved ones, it just kind of washes over you, and it just can bring such peace, even through tears.
My husband, Jose Capone. This is my first time here, and this is so beautiful. These are good tears, because everything about this is beautiful. He would love this. There's been so much love. It's unbelievable.
When I walk through here, I cry. You get choked up. I read the notes. I look at the pictures. Smile, laugh, cry. Never goes away.
This is where I come every year to remember Dad. He was the first name added on the wall. It was 1991. I come here every year since then. His name is right there. He's on panel 27 West, line 17. His name was Ignacio J. Chufa. They called him Iggy. And this is where I come to remember him.
Jesus Cordova was my husband. Jesus's name was added to the memorial wall in 2019. The wall, it's incredible. There were so many people crying, people laughing, children, so many children. And you just see people's pain. You feel their sadness. You see their pride. Then you look at all the things that they leave them.
I was overwhelmed by some of the memorials that were set up. Officers, co-workers of fallen officers, and family members bring items to the wall and display them in remembrance of their officer. and there were some kids tracing a name that I think was mom and dad. And I had to take a little break, man. That's when it started to hit me about the magnitude of what this wall means. The memorial pays respect to those that gave their life, and it brings a sense of peace and calm and support.
This is where our entire nation recognizes the sacrifice of those officers and the loss to those families. Every name on this wall, they were somebody's brother, sister, son, daughter, father, mother, friend, coworker. And for every single name on that wall, there are those memories and that loss. This isn't where they're buried, but this is where they're remembered.
I don't think you can explain it. The spirit that's there, it's incredible until you have the privilege of going and seeing it for yourself. I don't think anybody could ever understand what it is to be there.
Here, you feel the embrace of thousands of other law enforcement officers.
The cost of freedom is, borne by the spouses and the kids and the families that are left behind. And having people remember that and be here, it's really special.
We're so thankful, so grateful.
Because of the National Law Enforcement Memorial, these officers will never be forgotten. The wall remembers and honors them. Yeah, we need to save a dry towel for this too. So you'll do front row, podium, front row, candle. Where's the lighters?
Eric has them because he's waiting for Connie to come back and rehearse it. And then he's going to place them up here.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Board of Directors of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund and their distinguished guests. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Honorable Troy Edgar, Deputy Secretary of the United States Department of Homeland Security, the Honorable Aaron Reitz, Assistant Attorney General, the United States Department of Justice, Senator Amy Klobuchar, Congressman John Rutherford, Managing Partner of the Ashcroft Law Firm and Board Chair of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund, Lori Sharp-Day, and Chief Executive Officer of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund, Bill Alexander.
Detail. Order. Arm. Detail. Exit.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation of colors by the United States Park Police Honor Guard and the national anthem performed by Patrolman Steve Albart of the San Antonio, Texas Police Department.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, see, does that star-spangled banner yet wave? For the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Please remain standing as Reverend Markel Hutchins, CEO of Movement Forward, lead organizer of National Faith and Blue Weekend, and member of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund Board of Directors, gives the invocation.
Let us pray. When peace, like a river, attendeth our way, when sorrows, like sea billows roar, whatever our lot, you have taught us to say, it is well with my soul. God, here we are again. We come from many places, but we're here together in unity and on one accord. And as we go through this night, we pray that you would do what only you can do, that you would rest over this gathering tonight, that you would mend broken hearts, that you would encourage, that you would inspire, that you would uplift. So God, as we go through this ceremony tonight, transform this from a solemn occasion into celebration, that your servants gave and sacrificed selflessly. I pray for every family of every fallen officer here tonight. Wrap your loving arms around them and help them to know that through it all, they can lean and depend on you, because you are still God of this world. God, be with us tonight. Transform this rain into a baptism of love, a baptism of kindness, a baptism of unity and togetherness. If you'll do these things, we'll continue to give you praise and thanks. There's so much we don't know and understand about this thing called life, but this thing we are sure of, you are still in control, and this world is still in your hands. We thank you. We praise you. We glorify you, and we consider it done. It's in your name that we pray. Let every heart say amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Please welcome Bill Alexander, Chief Executive Officer of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Thank you for braving the elements with us tonight. The law enforcement officers all across the country, and certainly your loved ones, our fallen heroes, did not stop working when it rained. And we, on our part, will not stop honoring these heroes, even if the weather won't cooperate. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of the Memorial Fund Board, Senator Klobuchar, Congressman Rutherford, Deputy Secretary Edgar, Assistant Attorney General Reitz, distinguished guests, including at least a dozen members of Congress who are joining us in the audience tonight, including senior leaders from virtually every major law enforcement organization in the country, citizen supporters, and to all those who have joined us this evening, including the thousands around the nation joining us via live stream. Welcome to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund's 37th Annual Candlelight Vigil. As so many of you know, the Memorial Fund has, since its inception, existed entirely on donations. Donations from individuals across the country and from our dedicated corporate partners. Tonight, I'd like to publicly thank our corporate partners, particularly our lead Police Week sponsor, Verizon Frontline, along with Motorola Solutions Foundation, the Police Unity Tour, Whelan Engineering, and more. The many organizations and companies who have supported us year after year. These companies stand proudly with law enforcement, and they have generously helped to fund tonight's ceremony. Without their support and the support of generous donors from around the country, tonight's Candlelight Vigil and the work we do all year would not be possible. Tonight, we gather to honor the 345 men and women whose names were most recently added to our sacred memorial walls, and to continue the tradition first started in 1991, when the more than 12,000 names initially inscribed were read over the course of 24 hours. Some 34 years later, there are now 24,412 names on our sacred walls. A quote on the southwest corner of the memorial joins those names and begins with, "Carved on these walls is the story of America." Tonight, we gather to reflect on another chapter of that American story, a story to which both you and your loved ones are now inextricably linked. Each of the heroes we honor tonight and the families they leave behind will now forever be a part of the ongoing story of American law enforcement, a story filled with selfless heroism, dedicated service, and heartbreaking sacrifice. To help reflect on their sacrifice, I thought I might share a few stories about a prior cop, a peer, a mentor, and a friend. While his unique story started years before, for me began 28 years ago. I was very close to graduating the police academy, and I was desperate to get an assignment at District 1, the most sought-after police station in Prince George's County. Young officers hungry to combat high volumes of violent crime. One of the primary reasons I wanted District 1 specifically was because I was hoping to work under and learn from Lieutenant John Decker, who was universally referred to, even by his wife, as simply Decker, a man who had already been a police officer for longer than I'd been alive. When I was still crawling in diapers, Decker was handling every violent crime known to man, and early in his career had himself been shot and nearly killed responding to a home invasion. While I did not know Decker personally, I certainly knew of him. His status within the department was legendary. His name spoken with respect, almost a reverence, often followed by a smile and a story. He had an outsized personality, and everyone, and I mean every single one of the 1,700 sworn officers on our department, knew who he was, even if they hadn't had the opportunity to work with him directly. I'll cut to the chase. I did not get my wish. I got assigned to a different district station, but I never stopped hearing stories about both old and new about Lieutenant Decker. Later in my career, after getting promoted a few times, I had the honor of serving as station commander back at that very same district, District 1, where Decker was 40 years into his career and still working as a patrol lieutenant. It was then that I really got to know the man behind the legend. Decker was a steady presence, a guiding force, and without question, the institutional memory of not just our station, but the entire department. I had immense gratitude for every single minute Decker and his two patrol squads were working, as I knew with certainty that the citizens who lived and worked in my district were receiving the best service the police department could possibly provide. Decker's commitment to protecting and serving his community never wavered, and he suffered no fools, ensuring those under his command exceeded his high standards. Year after year, Decker's squads were consistently the highest performing officers on the department, and my fellow commanders would fight tooth and nail over newly promoted sergeants and lieutenants who had Decker trained on their resume. And so I never protested when more days than not, Decker would waltz into my office uninvited and sit down for a Decker brief, which could have included anything from weather, police updates, politics, or his unfiltered thoughts on where and how the command level puzzle palace at police headquarters was getting it all wrong. Decker had this really dry sense of humor, and he'd often drop in a subtle joke or say something marginally inappropriate, and then with a glint in his eye would wait to see if you reacted. He usually remained stone-faced, but occasionally when he inevitably got me to chuckle, he'd respond with this great Cheshire grin. If Decker had time for me, I always made time for him, as a sign of the immense respect I had for him as a person and police leader. And I wasn't the only one who felt that way. I would watch with amusement when Decker would drop in completely unannounced to a meeting between the chief and senior commanders, and everyone would stop as Decker would spin a quick, funny story and then gruffly walk out with that same twinkle in his eye, saying he didn't have time to talk. He was needed out on the streets to fight crime, as if we had somehow interrupted him. I offer this extensive view of my friend Decker because I strongly suspect that the countless admirable traits which made Decker such a remarkable police officer, an incredible leader, are likely many of the very same traits you saw mirrored in your loved ones who we honor here tonight. That each of them in their own way were larger than life, bold in their pronouncements, unafraid to offer a strong opinion, selfless, intensely committed to serving their communities, driven by a strong desire to make the world a better place, unafraid to take a stand against evil and chaos, and willing to sacrifice everything to protect those who needed help. I finished my career as the commander of the training academy and about a year into that assignment, I was prepping for a session on arrest procedures. And I wanted to emphasize how dangerous the processing of arrestees could be. So I searched out the tragic details from an incident handled by my own department in June of 1978, which involved the arrest of a 15-year-old theft suspect. The suspect was brought back to the station for processing and once uncuffed, was able to grab Officer Albert Claggett's gun and shot him. Officer James Swart rushed into processing to assist and was also shot. Both men died that day. As I searched for the specific details online, I found a number of tributes and remembrances for both of those fallen officers. And there, in the mix of those stories, one remembrance in particular for Officer Claggett, known as Rusty to his friends, caught my eye. And I quote, "Dear Rusty, it's hard to believe that 30 years ago today, you left us. I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember holding you, telling you to hang in there, telling you to fight. You seemed so calm, so peaceful. I watched you close your eyes and knew you were gone. I used to wonder how a man could be so at peace, so calm at a time like that. One day, it finally came to me. I recalled the last night I spoke to you. We were on patrol. We met in the parking lot of the old High Store on Old Landover Road at Cooper's Lane. You talked about your boys. Man, you sure were proud of those boys. You were all smiles and proud as you could be. It was then that I realized you were thinking about them when you died. I recognized the look, the same happy expression. That is why you were so calm, so peaceful. You loved them. You knew they loved you. I saw it in your eyes. You were thinking of them. I went to the cemetery today. I see somebody left you fresh flowers. I'm guessing it was them. Until we meet again, my brother, Lieutenant John S. Decker, ID 603. First Lieutenant John Decker retired only 2 years ago after 50 years of service to the citizens of Prince George's County. And it's with a very heavy heart that I tell you that following a rare neurological disease, which rapidly tore through his body, Lieutenant Decker was laid to rest just 4 days ago. While he has come to the end of his journey, his impact is lasting. His stories, his wisdom, and his example live on in every one of us lucky enough to have walked beside him. Just as I believe the stories, wisdom, and example of your loved ones lives on in you, the lucky few who got to walk beside and spend time with the heroes we honor tonight. I grappled with what to say to Decker's family and grieving wife, Karen, when it occurred to me that Decker had already said in his own words what might console those who knew and loved him. In the same vein that I hope his words console you, that he, and by extension, each of your loved ones, they did fight for as long and hard as they could. But when the end came, they were at peace. And that peace came from knowing they were loved, equally filled with pride and love for the families they left behind, and absolutely certain in ways both big and small that they had left the world a better place than they found it. Tonight, I'd like to close by offering you a promise. The same promise this organization has offered since our creation in 1984. A promise not just on behalf of those who work for and with the Memorial Fund, a promise not just on behalf of the board members and the national police organizations they represent, a promise not just on behalf of every man and every woman who ever has or ever will wear a badge, a promise I choose to believe on behalf of every citizen who was lucky enough to call this great nation home. That promise, our collective promise, that the stories of your loved ones' courage and sacrifice will be forever told. Our promise that the names of your loved ones, our heroes, will never be forgotten. And for all those tonight who are struggling with overwhelming grief and sorrow, I offer you the words of my friend, First Lieutenant John Decker. Hang in there. Keep fighting. May God bless you all. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lori Sharp Day, Managing Partner of the Ashcroft Law Firm and Board Chair of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund.
Good evening. On behalf of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund Board of Directors, I'd like to welcome you to the 37th Candlelight Vigil. Today, the weather did not quite cooperate in the way that I think all of us did, as you were like me and like everybody on the stage. We're watching the weather all day, hoping that it would clear up for the Candlelight Vigil, one of the most powerful sights, I think, that I've ever seen, starting with my very first vigil in 2001. Tonight, we gather to honor the cherished memories of our nation's fallen law enforcement officers. They're heroes who are courageous and had sacrificed everything long before their tragedies to keep all of us safe. And we know their absence leaves a hole, and it leaves an unfillable hole in your hearts, in your homes, in your minds, at work, and when you go home at night. And for that, we're very sorry, but also want to make sure you know how much we appreciate it, because it's because of them that we are safe, and it's because of being safe that we can be free. In remembrance of the brave souls, attention turns to the profound demonstration that we normally do have, and that's a candlelight vigil. It's a sea of lights from the Washington Memorial to the Capitol. If we can't do that tonight, that sea of light that represents all the souls that we've lost are still found here in a sea of people with aching hearts and with grief, but with minds of hope and gratitude for what they did for all of us. Tonight is a very solemn commitment that we will honor those. We will honor people like in Tallahassee, when my husband and I got that horrific text message from our daughter who was studying at the library for finals and just walked out the door to an alert that there was an active shooter. She sent us a message and said, "Mom and Dad, I'm not joking." Luckily, she ran to safety. She was on her phone and a man grabbed her arm and said, "Run." And she was safe. But for those hours when they were sheltering in place and we didn't know what was happening, she didn't know what was happening. It gave us a small glimpse of how every moment when your loved one walks out the door and you have to worry about them until they come home that night, that aching pain, I can't imagine what you all have to deal with every day. We felt hopeless and we prayed. And the answer to our prayers were the law enforcement officers, Florida state officers, even the FBI was there. Everyone was on the ground. They worked together, and they were the only thing in between those students and a madman with a gun. So we thank you for everything that you have sacrificed for us. And so even if we don't have the lights of all the candles that will merge into a collective glow, we have each other, and we have that glow that we can carry with us back home to wherever we are. And the one thing that Bill said, I want to reemphasize, this board of directors will make sure that we will always keep the memorial wall for you, for a place for you to come, for you to remember your loved ones, for you to grieve, and for you to be thankful for everything they did for us and for your families. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Troy Edgar, Deputy Secretary of the United States Department of Homeland Security.
Good evening.
On behalf of President Trump and Secretary Noem, DHS, and all of the law enforcement folks, we just want to welcome you here tonight. We're just honored to be here to celebrate this evening, celebrate the fallen. Tonight, we gather in honor of the 345 law enforcement officers who gave their lives in the line of duty. When law enforcement officer is killed, it shakes the entire community to the core. The grief that is felt reverberates through their home, their town, and the ranks of their fellow officers. Their loved ones, the friends, and the colleagues that have to carry on that pain daily and never truly goes away. Yet, despite the weight of that loss, law enforcement must trudge on and go back out there and defend the public against the threats of every kind. Not only do officers return to the line of fire, such as a devastating loss, but they also rally around the fallen officers' loved ones and their family. Their thoughts making their wives, husbands, children, parents, and friends of their fallen colleagues are taken care of, which is a testament to the bond amongst the community and the officer. The National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund is just one example of such support. Its mission is to honor the fallen, to make this line of work safer, and to ensure that the memory and that such heroism is never forgotten to the gift to this nation. The truth is, we'll never know to the full extent to which only law enforcement officers sacrifice. How many close calls did they experience? How much mental anguish did they bear while rescuing some of the most vulnerable from the perilous situations? How many were given and gave up birthdays, graduations, and holidays did they have to miss before and on behalf of this calling? Such questions we'll never have answers to. But we can say for certain that the names etched into the roll call of the fallen heroes represent more than just loss. They represent the lives that live in service, in commitment, and selfless protection of others. The candles that we light tonight represent the radiance and the warmth that each officer brought to his or her community. Tonight, as you read the names and you see the officers from federal, state, local, tribe, territorial, and campus law enforcement, we just know from the smallest town to the nation's capital that all have played a role in keeping us safe. All are heroes that have embodied what it means to be an American. We extend our benefit and our heartfelt gratitude to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund for preserving the memory of those we've lost and for providing steadfast and support to the loved ones. Let this vigil be a reminder that their sacrifice was not in vain and their legacy will continue through all. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Connie Moyer, National President of the Concerns of Police Survivors.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. And as you heard, welcome to the 37th Annual Candlelight Vigil. Thank you to each and every one of you behind me who have given your time and your finances to make this possible. This evening is so very meaningful to survivors, and we sincerely thank you from the bottom of our heart. Last year, I shared a story about Dory from the movie Finding Nemo and how her message of just keep swimming helps us push through the darkest days. This year, I want to share a different story, one that doesn't come from a movie, but from nature. After my husband, Lancaster, Ohio Patrolman Scott Moyer, died, I found myself looking out the window one cold morning, staring at a tree in our neighbor's yard. It was winter, and it looked dead. Its branches were bare, the sky was gray, and I remember thinking, that's me. That's what grief looks like. I remember wondering if I'd ever feel anything again. Sunshine, warmth, joy. if I'd ever laugh without feeling guilty, if I'd ever feel whole. It's hard to imagine spring when you're frozen in winter. But the thing about seasons is they change, not all at once, not on a schedule, but slowly, quietly. One morning, months later, I saw the tiniest little bud on that tree, a hint of green. That didn't mean that the pain had went away. It really never does. But it did mean that I was still here, still growing, and still moving forward. Grief is like that. It comes in seasons. Some days feel like winter, bitter, isolating, dark. Other days feel like spring, when a memory brings a smile before it brings tears. Then there are summer days when you feel the warmth in your heart because someone spoke their name, or you shared a story that made people laugh. And yes, we still have fall days when things shift, when we prepare ourselves for another wave of missing them. The seasons don't erase one another. They build on each other, just like we do. Standing here tonight, looking out, I see a forest of survivors, people in different seasons of grief. Some of you are fresh in your winter, your loss so recent that it takes your breath away. Others are beginning to see their first signs of spring. Some have found ways to live again, love again, and laugh again. No matter what season that you're in, please hear me when I say you are not alone. Look around you. These are your people, your blue family. These are the ones who will sit with you in the cold when your winter feels never ending, who will wrap you in a blanket with their love to keep the cold out, who will remind you that it's okay to cry and it's okay to laugh. We don't heal by forgetting. We heal by remembering and learning how to carry our loved ones forward with us. Scott was my husband for 40 years. Losing him felt like losing the sun in my sky. And then our daughter died. Just like each of you, my heart was broken into a million pieces. I didn't think I could survive one loss, let alone two. But I did. I am able to stand here before you tonight, not because I'm strong, but because I wasn't alone, because of my faith, because of my family, because of my friends, and because of our organization Concerns of Police Survivors. But most importantly, because I knew that to honor my husband and my daughter, that I had to keep moving, to keep blooming. We all carry the weight of someone's absence, but we also carry their light. So tonight, and I'm going to pray that it'll stop raining. As we lift our candles towards the heavens, let us be the light for each other. Let us hold space for the winters. Let us celebrate the springs. Let us bask in the warmth of summer and find strength in the transitions of fall. And most of all, let us never forget that just like the seasons, we still move forward. Before I close tonight, under your seat or possibly in your laps by now, you'll find in those plastic bags, and you guys got them too, flower seeds, a packet of flower seeds. Yes, actual seeds. These seeds are more than just a gift. They're a reminder that growth, listen to this, a reminder that growth often begins in darkness, beneath the soil, in silence and unseen. But with time, with care, and with love, something beautiful emerges. Plant them when you're ready, when your heart is ready. There's no rush. There's no season more right than the one you're in. And when they bloom, whenever that may be, let them remind you of the love that grows, the life that still surrounds you, and the strength that still lives within you. One of my very favorite events during National Police Week is this candlelight vigil. As we look up into the sky, we can rest assured that our loved ones are looking down upon us, proud of where we are and excited to see where we're going. Thank you.
The National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial was dedicated 34 years ago. Every year since, the names of the fallen have been read aloud to honor their sacrifice. Tonight, we continue that proud tradition with the reading of the 345 names that were added to the memorial in 2025. The names will be read by the Memorial Fund's Board of Directors and other special guests. They will be read in the order of the state in which they served. The candle lighting in honor of these and all of our nation's fallen law enforcement heroes will occur immediately following the reading of the names. Please refrain from lighting your candles until after the memorial candle is lit on stage and the flame is passed on to all of you. At this time, the Honorable Aaron Wrights, Assistant Attorney General, the United States Department of Justice, will begin this evening's Roll Call of Honor.
From the state of Alabama, Jermias O. Young, John R. McCrary, Timothy Wayne S. Johns.
From the state of Arizona, Zane T. Coolidge, Ryan Y. So, Jason H. Southard, Adam R. Buckner. From the state of Arkansas, S. Justin Smith.
From the state of California, Oliver Perry Mitchell, John Celestine Clifford, Samuel L. Walker, Peter H. Isaacson, Joseph H. Matlock.
Continuing from the state of California, Carrie J. Smith, Charles W. Stone, Lester E. Trebolic, David C. Tolles.
Continuing from the state of California, Harry A. Byers, Isaac O. Jabot, Blair Cook, Harry H. Gates.
Continuing from the state of California, Albert C. Wedge, George A. Nelson,
Alfredo M. Flores. Honor E. Peaburn.
Continued from the state of California, Jordan T. Wingate, Ryan M. Santana, Sean R. Jarvis, at Austin C. McIntyre.
Continuing from the state of California, Herbert Dean Siebert, Stephen E. Clark, George Madison Martin, Matthew B. Bowen.
From the state of Colorado, Stuart E. Holt, Lucian Morgan, Christine Guerin Sandoval, Dale Koski, Evan A. Dunn, George L. Smith.
From the state of Connecticut, Trooper Aaron Peltier, Charles Hooper.
From the District of Columbia, Wayne E. David. Reading from the state of Delaware, Herbert Haynes, George A. Davison.
From the state of Florida, Elio A. Diaz, William Davis, Daniel J. Swain Jr., Samuel S. Penny.
Continuing from the state of Florida, Robert Bell, Olin H. McMillan, Joel R. Harper, Moses Dykes, and Zachary I. Fink.
Continuing from the state of Florida, Bradford D. McNew, Bradley M. Link, Columbus McLeod, Luis Paez, Ralph E. Waller Jr., Ignacio Diaz,
Continuing from the state of Florida, Justin E. White, Robert Chambers, Jeremy J. Boykins.
From the state of Georgia, Leonard B. Rainey, Clinton A. Martin Sr., Freeman O. Epps, John Arthur Hazelton.
Continuing from the state of Georgia, Taylor J. Bristow, William H. Forrest, Eric A. Medix, and Timothy T. Rivers Sr.
Continuing from the state of Georgia, James T. Fry, Jimmy Siniscar, Chase W. Redner, William Harris.
Continuing from the state of Georgia, Robert Lee Puckett, Brandon T. Cunningham. From the state of Idaho, Tobin T. Bolter.
From the state of Illinois, police officer Luis M. Huesca, police officer James B. Crawley, police officer Enrique Martinez, and Sheriff's Deputy Rafael D. Wordlaw.
Continuing from the state of Illinois, Christina M. Muscle, Andrew J. Faut, Corey S. Thompson, Clay M. Carnes.
Continuing for the state of Illinois, Lindley C. Larison, Esam T. Gillum, Alan M. Reddens, Andrew Hugh Sloan.
From the state of Indiana, Otto J. Glissman, Fred A. Fissler, Arvin Earl Kays, Brandon W. Schreiber.
From the state of Iowa, Joseph Cashmitter, Fukam Tran.
From the state of Kansas, Sherman Webb, Marion Thomas, George M. House, Milford Parker, Glenn H. Curtis.
From the Commonwealth of Kentucky, Burl W. Everman, Hunter S. Miller, Joseph Wadowitz, Levi Hall, Lim Nolan.
Continuing from the Commonwealth of Kentucky, Russell Wooten, Richard Johnson Crawford, James Holliday, Robert H. Napier, William Smith.
Continuing from the Commonwealth of Kentucky, Boycon Jones, Elhanan Jones, Linville H. Miller, James Cornett.
Continuing from the Commonwealth of Kentucky, Sam Fields, Brent L. Hall, Joshua C. Phipps, William M. Jackson II.
From the state of Louisiana, Russell R. Croxton, Sigris R. Jolette, Sr., Alfred E. Kelly Carlton.
From the state of Maryland, Daoud A. Mingo, Davis G. Martinez.
From the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Ian G. Taylor, Michael J. Bannon, John W. Donnelly, James A. Cox, Lachlan Gavin, Michael Joseph Barry, Nels T. Svensson.
From the state of Michigan, Benjamin C. Monty,
John O. Hessler, Herman C. Schmidt, William H. Butler, Jr.
Continuing from the state of Michigan, Mohammed Saeed, Joel E. Pop, Daniel M. Kurtstetter, Bradley J. Reckling.
From the state of Minnesota, Paul H. Elmstrand, Matthew H. Ruge, Jamal J. Mitchell.
From the state of Mississippi, Robert D. Daffin Jr., Jeremy T. Malone, Michael E. Griffin, Troy L. Floyd.
From the state of Missouri, Cody R. Allen, Stephen A. Singer, John W. Burns, Felicia F. Carson, David Lee III, George Douglas Hooper.
From the state of Montana, John E. Hearn. From the state of Nebraska, Ross C. Bartlett. From the state of New Hampshire, Paul G. Brodier.
From the state of New Jersey, Michael J. Corinzi, Eric J. Whitaker.
Continuing from the state of New Jersey, James J. Pohaski, Marcellus E. Bethea, Jeffrey A. Burke.
Continuing for the state of New Jersey, John M. Collins, Anthony J. Mezzacappa Jr., Stephen E. Blecky.
From the state of New Jersey, Roberto Rodriguez, Noah Hernandez, Justin C. Hare.
From the state of New York, Bernard A. Roberts, Thomas A. Sanfratello, and Joseph J. Ponzi.
Continuing from the state of New York, Eric W. Contreras, Christopher A. Sizmarek, Kevin G. Canavan, Philip J. Shafini.
Continuing from the state of New York, William Wilson Jr., Michael Teresi, Thomas W. Waterman, Jorge L. Gonzalez, Jewel I. Todman Phillip.
Continuing from the state of New York, Cliff Acosta, William F. Clancy, James Milton Ward, James T. Delaney, Brendan J. McGarry.
Continuing from the state of New York, Brian J. Rutherford, Dennis C. Ryan Jr.,
Edwin Rodriguez, Joseph S. Cordero, Randy Van Name, Stephen M. Leal.
Continuing from the state of New York, Gerard J. Coggins Sr., James V. Bubendorf, Thomas W. Miller, Luis T. Hartstick II, Ronald Raskin, Salvatore W. Bertucci.
Continuing from the state of New York, Harry Stefilius, John S. Welch, Hector J. Santiago, Raymond Buzzo, Adam Jangle, Stephen J. Pavelio.
Continuing from the state of New York, Peter J. Grzymowski, Joseph P. Geschwind, Yolanda Carberry, Stephen R. Galan, Michael A. Ansbro, Charles A. Apanowitz.
Continuing from the state of New York, Jack J. Santora, Scott A. McKenna, Kurt E. Jones, Carlo S. Kretschik, Teresa H. Foyles, Wanda Evett Negron.
Continuing from the state of New York, Leonard C. Davis, Braulio Rosario, William G. McNaughton, William A. Burkle, Herbert Fonseca, Paul R. Hargrove.
Continuing from the state of New York, Joseph M. Stilitano, Frank J. Cimino, Jonathan E. Diller, Alfred G. Williams, John E. Kilpatrick, Gerald Nelson.
Continuing from the state of New York, Kenneth B. Campbell, David J. McShane, Stephen A. Tyrell, Benedicto Albuzu Jr., Stephen P. Bilodeau, John L. Carey.
Continuing from the state of New York, Michael A. Husak, Kaylee R. Campbell, Michael E. Jensen, Daniel P. Didato, William E. McLean III.
From the state of North Carolina, Joshua M. Iyer, Michael T. Horan, Christopher S. Johnson, Michelle L. Quintero, William Alden Elliott.
Continuing from the state of North Carolina, Samuel A. Polici, Gabriel J. Torres, Russell E. L. Jones, William Freeman Craig, Adrian D. Newton.
From the state of Ohio, David Wayne Reynolds, Jameson R. Ritter, Jacob Durbin, Harvey L. Monbeck.
Continuing from the state of Ohio, Rodney J. Osborne, Andrew S. Lansing, Rex A. Emmerich, John E. Sellers.
From the state of Oklahoma, Robert W. Sumner. From the state of Oregon, Andrew James Legeson.
From the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Philip J. Michael, Thomas M. Horlacher, Charles S. Connor, Joseph Robert Burns, William F. Wood, Martin Joseph O'Brien.
Continuing from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Thomas D. Trott, Walter S. Danley, John Joseph Burns, Martin R. Clark, Joseph M. Downs, John D. Almenrader, John A. Gagan.
Continuing from the state of Pennsylvania, John P. Fryermuth, John Diamond, Walter S. Bates, Robert J. Ritchie, John P. Reed, Jamie J. Roman.
From the state of South Carolina, Charlie Smith, Dustin Michael Beasley. From the state of South Dakota, Kenneth M. Parra. From the state of Tennessee, Gregory A. McCowan, Robert J. Leonard Jr., Joseph R. McKinney, Demetrius L. Johnson, Ricky N. Finley.
From the state of Texas, Dan Jenkins, Kyle Hicks, Vicente Ortiz Jr., Darren L. Burks.
Continuing from the state of Texas, R. Troy Joyner, Isaiah P. Bias, Billy W. Randolph Jr., Cooper S. Dawson.
Continuing from the state of Texas, Michael V. Floyd, Catherine L. Hudson, Rondell W. Bates, Brian B. Sweetman, John H. Codu III, Fernando Esqueda.
Continuing from the state of Texas, Pinckney L. Barnhill, William Thomas Mosley, Charles T. Rivette, Kevin L. Palmer.
Continuing from the state of Texas, Leslie L. Graves II, Provencio Garcia Jr., Jacob A. Candanosa, Kevin A. Ramirez Vasquez.
Continuing from the state of Texas, John A. Moran, Ricky L. Ead Jr., Christopher W. Berry, DeWitt Spivey, Lex A. Love.
From the state of Utah, Billy D. Hooser. From the state of Virginia, Floyd H. Miles Jr., Hunter D. Reedy, Joel A. Legaspi, Earl R. Barksdale.
From the state of Washington, Christopher M. Gadd. From the state of Wisconsin, Daniel J. Daly, Corey P. Prue. From the state of Wyoming, Nevada P. Krinke.
From the federal system, Justin D. Jocelyn, Federal Bureau of Prisons. Also from the federal system, Joseph S. Love, Homeland Security Investigations, ICE.
Continuing from the federal agencies, Jesus Anaya, Christopher Luna, Garvis F. Harrell, John D. Leatham, Jeffrey T. Canis, Robert L. Wood.
Continuing from the federal agencies, Raymond Cucci, Kevin M. Grossheim.
Continuing from the federal agencies, Thomas M. Weeks, Jr., Derek Sean Bear.
Continuing from the federal agencies, from the United States Air Force, Lori A. Lucas, Richard L. Bowling, David Ralph Jones, Marion L. Pace, Thomas P. Meredith, Bernard N. Blake, Johnny R. Brock, David A. Clow, Larry D. Hughes, Glenn G. Wilson, Terry L. Wright.
From the tribal agencies, Josh R. Breeze, Ronald L. Owen, Brian K. Herbert,
From the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, Luis A. Algarin de Jesus, Eliza Ramos Velez.
Behind every name read here tonight and on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial are stories and memories that burn brightly, tonight and always. Stories that inspire us, and memories that cannot be extinguished. As a symbol of that eternal remembrance, Deputy Secretary Edgar and COPS National President Connie Moyer will now light the memorial candle. The flame will then be passed to each of you with the help of the trustees of the Concerns of Police Survivors.
He shines up his boots and the badge on his chest, kisses the cross, tucks it into his vest. First day back since that night straight from hell. Judge called it justified, but it didn't help. Wife said, honey, you did what you had to do, but that ain't what they say on the 6 o'clock news. Sometimes it's the good guy who lives with the blame. It's hard to be a hero these days. It's easy to stand in the shadows. It's hard to find reasons to put on the cape. It's easy to hide in the back row. It's hard to be someone who's gotta be brave in a world that don't wanna be saved. It's hard to be a hero, hard to be a hero these days. She stepped off the plane, hit her knees, kissed the ground, got a pat on the back and went back to her hometown. 2 tours in a place she was sent to make better. Now the back of her mind's in that desert forever. Someday she wakes up and don't want to no more. Feels alone in the country she would have died for. As they step on Old Glory, curse Uncle Sam's name. It's hard to be a hero these days. It's easy to stand in the shadows. It's hard to find reasons to put on the cape. It's easy to hide in the back row. It's hard to be someone who's gotta be brave in a world that don't wanna be saved. It's hard to be a hero, hard to be a hero these days. He came here to save all the souls that are lost. I bet from up there it ain't easy to watch the world going crazier every lap around. Anyone else would have given up on us by now. It's easy to stand in the shadows. It's hard to find reasons to put on the cape. It's easy to hide in the back row. It's hard to be someone who's gotta be brave in a world that don't wanna be saved. Somehow he keeps showing us grace. It's hard to be a hero, hard to be a hero these days. It's hard to be a hero these days. It's hard to be a hero.
As guardians of public safety, law enforcement professionals are called upon to run toward danger no matter the cost. To risk their lives every day for the safety and protection of others. And often to witness the unthinkable. Day or night, on duty or off, they never stop protecting others. Their heroism is unparalleled, and the debt of gratitude we owe them can never fully be paid. Many of those men and women are here with us tonight. We honor you today and every day. This memorial, your memorial, pays tribute to the heroic spirit of those who made the ultimate sacrifice. Each year, with heavy hearts, we carve their names in marble so that their stories will never be forgotten. More than 24,000 souls, and sadly, the number continues to grow. Behind every name engraved on the memorial walls are the officers' loved ones, whose watch has not ended and whose grief sadly endures. Tonight, we come together in solidarity with and support of the surviving families and agencies of those heroes to respect, honor, and remember their loss. As we raise our candles skyward in silent tribute, but united by light, we pledge to always remember and cherish those who have fallen, those who have been left behind, and those who continue to serve. And let us always remember, it's not how these men and women died that made them heroes, but how they lived.
Ladies and gentlemen, First Sergeant Michael McCann of the Virginia State Police will now perform the bagpipe solo, Going Home. Ladies and gentlemen, for your safety, please carefully extinguish your candles at this time and rise for the Retreat of Colors and Taps, performed by retired Major Robert Kiker and retired Sergeant Rick Pisciuto. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the stage Bill Alexander, Chief Executive Officer of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to take a moment to thank the people behind the scenes who helped make tonight happen. The men and women who work for the Memorial Fund, the hundreds of volunteers, the honor guard teams who escorted our survivors, Executive Director Rosa Wixon's retired chief in her own right, who has literally spent the last 5 months of her life planning for tonight's event, the distinguished guests, particularly our speakers, and thank each of you for coming out to help us celebrate and honor these heroes. I'd also like to thank the United States Park Police Color Guard, the National Park Service, Officer Steve Albart, for that beautiful rendition of the national anthem. First Sergeant Mike McCann, the bagpiper who arranged the pipes and drums before this evening's ceremony and also played the bagpipe solo. Retired Major Robert Kiker and retired Sergeant Rick Basciuto for echo taps. And I would like to again thank the sponsors, most notably Frontline, but also Motorola Solutions Foundation, the Police Unity Tour, and Wheelan Engineering, and the many more. We could not have done this without their support and the support of so many across the nation who have also donated to support us year after year. Ladies and gentlemen, may God bless each of you and your families, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
When leaving the Candlelight Vigil, all survivors registered through COPS may use the buses staged on both 7th and 3rd Streets to return to the Washington Hilton and Omni Shoreham hotels. All buses will stop at both locations. The buses will cycle twice, so please be patient if you are unable to board for the first trip.